Hi, everybody. Welcome to KidLit TV. I'm KidLit. I blog at The Educator Spin on It, and I also work for KidLit TV as their Pinterest basically guru, putting all sorts of tips for parents and teachers on teaching your kids about reading and all sorts of crafts to connect them to books. And today I have the privilege of interviewing two rock star bloggers, moms, teachers, Allison McDonald and Amy Mascott, who've recently published a book, Raising a Rockstar Reader. And so we're going to chat with them today about the book and tips to help your child learn to read at home and also at school. I think it's a great book for both parents and teachers. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Amy.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy Mascott. I live in the DC metro area, and I'm a former high school English teacher and currently a reading specialist. I've got 3 kids, and they are 12, 10, and 8. I can't even believe how old they are, but I'm really excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. And Allison, tell us about you and your family.
Hello everyone, I'm Allison McDonald, and I am a preschool teacher and graduate student. I'm studying even more about education as we speak, and I blog at notimeforflashcards.com along with my 2 kids who are 5 and 9 now. I know, I'm shocked that he's 9 as well. It's funny how quickly they grow. Yeah, and I'm just really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us, Kim.
No, I'm excited that Scholastic reached out to Julie at KidLit TV and brought it all together. We actually all connected way many years ago writing for Melissa and Doug, kids activities for their site, and Amy and Allison both started a blog for Scholastic Parents called Raise a Reader, almost 3 years ago, right? Yeah, so, and I think both your sites started around the same time in 2008. So if you're looking for resources for teaching your child how to read, to write, and all sorts of early childhood foundations, definitely check out Teach Mama and No Time for Flashcards. So we're going to turn a little bit to this amazing book that you guys wrote. I got my copy. Allison and I actually had a chance to meet a couple months ago when the book was launching. That was quite a treat for me. I think I wanted to just ask each of you to share probably one of your favorite tips from the book. It includes, 75 tips
75.
for parents and teachers? That's crazy. Basically, you guys, it seems like sat and wrote down all those little things that we do that we don't realize we do at home to raise readers, and I think it's such a helpful tool. I'm going to be sharing it with pretty much anyone who has a baby shower from now on. Like, here you go. Welcome to the world of literacy. I just think it'll be a great gift. I gave one to my sister-in-law already, who has a newborn and a almost 3-year-old. So I think it'll be fun for her to raise a child, surrounded with that. So Amy, why don't we start with you, and you can just share a quick tip from the book for everybody.
Sure. So I think that one of my favorite tips, well, I'm going to actually share 2 really quick ones. So I love the library book parade. I think that's a really simple tip that parents can do, like right when they come back from the library. We always had a big bag of books, and they kind of sat in a basket, and we would, go over, read them, put them back. Some would end up in bedrooms, and they kind of got scattered around the house. But just a library book parade is really simple and a fun way of kind of showcasing all of the books that you get from the library. You can set them all out and say, okay, this is Llama Llama and by the author, and put it down, and you're really just kind of setting them on like your coffee table or your TV stand, somewhere that everybody can see all of them. And my kids always loved that, because then they'd be out for everybody to see, and they would kind of grab them more readily. So that's just one way, and that also helps kids recognize some concepts of print, titles, authors, that kind of thing. So that's the one that I love. And the second one that I love is really just what I mentioned, pointing out concepts of print while you're doing a simple read aloud at night. Concepts of print is really just the idea that all books have titles, authors, that there are chapter titles, a table of contents, that kind of thing. And parents can very easily teach their kids that in the time it takes to read one book out loud by pointing to the title as they read it, by following the words as they read, the left-right return suite that we all take for granted, but that kids really do have to learn. So those are just two quickie, easy ones that I like, and I've used time and time again.
Right. And as you use them more and more, you'll find your kids are creating their own stories with those important story elements into them.
Totally.
So it's already building them into becoming their own authors, which I love it too.
Absolutely.
Allison, how about your quick tips or tip, whichever?
I get asked this a lot, and it usually changes. But right now, one of my favorites is tip number 16, which is tell stories about family photos. I love this, especially because my kids love it, and so I use it all the time. My daughter will go through, it's not an album anymore. It used to be an album. Now they go through the iPad or the phone and look at pictures. But she'll look at pictures and tell me stories. Some are real stories and some are not. And what's so great about this is that the pictures give the kids that scaffold. So they've got a foundation to tell the story. Because if you say to a child, tell me a story, some kids, not a problem. Other kids will struggle and struggle, and they start thinking they're not writers, they're not storytellers. And that's not true. Every child can be both of those things. So using family photos as that foundation is just such a great trick. All kids can tell you about either what they loved about what was going on, what they hated about what was going on, or maybe they'll make up a totally fantastic story that has no basis in reality. But it doesn't matter because they'll all be telling a story, and that's what we want.
Right, and the best part is it's on the go too. So whether you're waiting in line at the restaurant or on the airplane, traveling.
And you don't even need Wi-Fi.
And both my kids have bad ears, so those moments when there is no Wi-Fi are the hardest moments on planes. So it's great to be like, okay, don't focus on your ears hurting. Let's just look at pictures.
I know one of my kids' favorite things was printing out when we went on a experience, maybe strawberry picking or, some adventure you take with your kids, and then creating a sequential story at home and then having them write the text below it. I've kept those over the years. They're kind of some of our favorite storybooks.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep talking about books, and KidLit TV is all about connecting kids to fall in love with books and with authors. So I wanted to know if you guys have any special elements of KidLit TV that you found your aha moment of, that's a great way for kids to connect with books and with authors.
I absolutely love the book trailers, the little videos. I mean, I don't know if it's just my kids. I know it's not just my kids. But kids that are growing up right now love anything video. Video makes or breaks a child. They're just so into it. And so being able to show them a book trailer about a book that you want them to get interested in is just a great way to seal the deal. Yes, I want that book. Great. Okay, now when it arrives or when it's our turn after putting in the request at the library, they're already into it. And they can watch that trailer a few times too to get super into it. So I think that's a fantastic on KidLit TV.
Right, and I think it helps connect them with the characters of the story and the author of the story too. And who knows, they might be creating their own book trailers with their stories that they're writing too.
Right.
How about you, Amy?
I like that it's very easy to navigate. It's there's not a whole lot of ads bombarding the screen. There's just not a lot of flash. It's really a very kind of simple but easy to navigate site for kids. So I love that, number one. But I really like the author interviews. I've always been enamored with seeing authors, hearing their voices, meeting them in real life, and when I've been able to. So to have that whole kind of store of author interviews is really awesome. I love that there was an interview with Rick Riordan, because my kids have gone on a crazy Percy Jackson kick this summer, and so for them to be able to see his voice, see his face, hear his voice, and I think he was talking about Magnus Chase, which is the first book of his new series, which was released this summer. To hear him talk about his favorite Norse gods was awesome for us. And he also talks a little bit about how he does his own social media, which I think is so fun.
Which is awesome, yeah.
Because my kids follow him on Instagram, and he just talks a little bit about how parents can help reluctant readers, and I thought that those tips are really helpful when it comes from the author himself.
Mm-hmm. I know my son, who's 22, gave my, let's see, she was 4 years at the time, the book Press Here for Christmas last year. And I love that in the spring, one of the story makers was the author of that, Herv, I'm going to say it wrong, Toulay. So watching him with another book read it, it totally brought to life the text that in a character voice we probably never would have thought of doing because we didn't know, that personal connection with them. So I have a question for you guys. How would you, as parents and teachers, encourage parents and teachers to connect their children to authors, whether it's watching, interviews and trailers at KidLit TV? What are kind of those rock star moments of making authors become rock stars to them?
For me, we're on a big, I always say his name wrong, so you guys don't laugh at me, because I read all his books in French when I was little. Roald Dahl, is that how you say his first name properly? Because I want to say it in French, like Roald Dahl. But we've read, my son and I have read now 2, and he's getting James and the Giant Peach for Christmas in his store. We usually end up Wikipediaing them first, and then reading all about their bio, and then if they're still living, we usually go to Instagram first to see. I mean, we do that with NFL players too, but definitely, because we'll be talking about them and anyone that we're on, and we've looked at Rick Riordan as well. But my son will be like, I saw on his Instagram. So I mean, I think just them being present on social media and us being like, do you know what? We can check out their Instagram. It really does turn them into rock stars. I mean, my son doesn't care about the Disney, actors the way that my daughter does, but he is so into these authors and NFL players too, but mostly authors, because we lay there in bed together. That's why a phone is so awesome, because you can say, wait, let's look up. And it does kind of give credence to them being rock stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Allie hit on a lot of the things that we do over here too. Just kind of making a big deal about the new books that are being released when they are. We read the paper over here, so if there's an interview with an author in the Kids Post or the Washington Post, we make a big deal about that. And we're in the DC area, which is great for reading, because we've got lots of authors who come for the National Book Festival every year in September, or the Baltimore Book Festival. So we're really lucky that way that we make an effort to go see them in real life when they do come to our area. So if you don't have that opportunity, then definitely do what Allie said, because the websites today are awesome, and they are on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. But to actually see an author and talk to them, him or her, it's just invaluable. It's priceless. My son met Dan Brown. He wrote the Arthur series. The Arthur series. Am I saying it right? Yeah, Arthur series. Arthur. So he met him, and he signed our National Book Festival poster. And Owen always talks about the time that he met him, because I guess Dan said, "Are you the famous Owen?" And Owen was little. He was 5 or 6, and he was like, "Yes." So my husband was standing right there, because the girls and I had gone over to meet Jane O'Connor, who is the author of Fancy Nancy. So we met her and her sister. So we were over there, and so we met up, and we had these crazy stories to share. It was really fun.
One big tip is, library systems are always bringing in authors for different things, just really keeping abreast of what's happening. And it might not be in your community, but maybe it's a closer, larger town near yours and worth a trip there. Spend the day doing something else and drop into that. I think the more we can put authors on a platform and show our kids how important books are and authors are, it will inspire them to really become great readers and potentially authors themselves too.
Our school brings in a lot, probably 4 or 5 times a year we get authors in.
That's fantastic.
Iffy John Jones, and which I don't know off the top of my head, and quite a few others. I think Lewin, Pete the Cat, was that. So we bring in a lot. Yeah.
Eric came down here. Eric Litwin came down here to Florida too. It was fun. I did an interview with him. So yeah, definitely look and see what's going on. And they're generally you can connect with them also on YouTube because chances are someone recorded some sort of appearance somewhere too.
Right. That's right.
But live is the best. So I'm glad Storymakers brings us basically that live experience as Rocco interviews authors. So I just think that's probably a big tip for raising a rockstar reader is really connecting with authors and making books come to life through them. And then obviously characters are big too. So if you can meet a character, that's pretty cool too.
Actually, there's a lot of characters on Twitter.
I never thought to really look about that.
There's the big red dog, Martha of Martha Speaks, like they're all on.
The pigeon has an account, yeah.
Yep.
And I just realized it is Mark Brown, not Dan Brown. That didn't.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, it's 4 letters.
Yeah, sounds right. But
Good catch.
Yeah, Mark Brown is who we've met, and of course I would have remembered. I think if I would have seen him in real life. But you're right.
It's okay. You don't have to be an expert. We can always look things up, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any kind of leaving tips to parents as they connect with your book and hopefully share with some of their friends, just for parents and teachers? What are these moments we can build at home to really create moments for readers?
I think Allie and I just want to stress that this book is written for everybody, for whether you're an educator or not. It's written to bring literacy education to every household, because really it is a partnership, and if we want our kids to be successful in school and become lifelong readers, then it really starts at home. And we give you really easy, tiny little nuggets that you can take and make your own, whether you have 5 minutes or 20. And the book is small enough that you can shove it in your purse or your diaper bag, and that's really what we wanted. We wanted to have it sound like you were just kind of hanging with a friend, and we were saying hey, if you have 5 minutes, you can do this to teach your kids the letters.
I write The Educator's Fun on it with Amanda, and we joke. We call it the playground talk, like the little things you say back and forth with a friend of, oh, that works for your house, let me try it at my house. I think your book is exactly that, those little things we do that make a huge difference.
It is. If I could rename the book, I would rename it, You Can Do This. You can do this. It is all stuff that you can do. And it is, when we were writing it, a lot of the tips were things that I remember sharing at a kitchen island over coffee with girlfriends as our kids were playing. How did you get your kid to read? Blah, blah, blah. Well, here you go. Here's what we can do. And oh my gosh, he's doing this now. What do I do? That's what we put in here. That's what we kind of wanted to demystify for parents. Learning to read is a long process, but you can help your child. You can really make a difference. And it's not as hard as you think. It's just you need some help sometimes.
One thing neither one of you mentioned, and I want to highlight it for everybody, is at the very beginning of your book, you recommend books for babies, toddlers, preschoolers, early readers, early chapter book readers. And I think that's a great platform to jump off of, because I know sometimes even when I go to the library, I'm like, I don't know which one we should be reading. So I love that, and I always reserve ours online before we get there, so the book I want to read is waiting for me, and then we have time to explore a little bit more. But I think there's some great book lists in here that you guys put together, so thank you for incorporating that in.
It was hard to narrow it down to just 10 for every list. I mean, our list could easily be 55 books long for all of them. Even when I read the list now, I'm like, why didn't I add this one or that one? It's so hard.
Because now we can go to No Time for Flashcards and Teach Mama and look at all of the book lists you've created over the years.
Yeah, lots more.
I know I'm constantly pinning them onto KidLit TV's Pinterest boards for them and highlighting them in some of our highlight posts. So thank you guys so much for just creating this environment so that we can raise readers in our homes and in our classrooms, and the tools that we need to do it easily, and you can do it, as you said. So I think we're kind of come to the end of our little chat. Congratulations on your new book, Raising a Rockstar Reader. It's on Amazon, it's at Scholastic. Tell me where else I can grab your book.
It's online at Target, online at Walmart, online at Barnes & Noble.
So pretty much anywhere you can get it. There's no excuse.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Allie and Amy, for being here. I encourage you guys to go check out more tips for teaching your child how to read on both of their websites, No Time for Flashcards and Teach Mama. And we've got a few at the Educator Spin on it, and even the Virtual Book Club for Kids, where we highlight authors each month. And most importantly, go check out KidLit TV. Thank you so much, Amy and Allie. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
She doesn't notice what her little brother's up to.
I see that.
Oh, but somebody notices. The cat.
The watch cat. If they came to you and said, Rick, which one of your books should be a musical?
I'm just picturing Thor on ice, and I think we could probably do something with that.
Story Pirates is basically about telling kids that their words and ideas matter. So that's kind of what we do. We like to basically take anything that any kid thinks and says, that's awesome, let's do more of it.